So today I'm going to be talking about the impact of my project as in my development as a learner, a business professional, a team member, and a member of my community. First, as a learner, I feel like I have gone far beyond expectations. Throughout the whole course of this applied study, my mathematical skills have greatly enhanced. Just being able to deal with huge tasks and trying to manage all this mathematical information all at once. And keeping things intact, so not messing up any minus signs, not forgetting to multiply something by 2. And those are really basic examples. And as a learner, I feel like I've just gained a lot of skills throughout this applied study that I can apply to my future courses. And Benham really helped me out here deriving this formula, the bottom one right down there, to deal with the different terms. And this is just an example right here. As a business professional, I feel like I've really become super professional throughout the course of this applied study. I feel like when I take a job in the future, I want to make sure that I have the skills, not being afraid to ask my employer for questions. I feel like that's a really big issue that a lot of employees have, is they'll be nervous to ask whoever their superior is for advice or for help, because it's kind of scary, like saying, the fear of what they could say. But in reality, 99% of the time, they're just there to help you. As a team member, I've really gotten to, over the past year, I've gotten to learn to work closely with Benham. And, we work as a team in this problem. This is my project for the most part, but I do have to consult Benham quite frequently to get his advice on how to simplify certain parts of the problem. And then as a community member, previous students of Benham's have been the ones to derive these equations, and Benham will likely be the ones to program the equations. So I'm kind of that intermediate step where I'm taking the equations that Zaman got and rewriting them in a completely different format that can be programmed into the computer. And potential future opportunities. This applied study is a huge thing to put on a resume. It really is. And being able to study it like I am could lead to future opportunities and other things that deal with the earth. So I guess a big example would be in the mining industry. Another one, again, with seismology, or even just taking samples for all sorts of different companies that require that kind of knowledge. So now, what I'm going to be talking about is these 6 areas here, how I have developed in terms of career awareness, personal development, leadership, skill development, conflict resolution, and community interaction. To begin with career awareness, there are a lot of different things to do out there, and that's why so many people, and myself included, are still not sure where I'm headed. I really enjoy physics, I enjoy geophysics, and I would love to be a geoscientist. Seismological opportunities, dealing with seismology, kind of data gathering, data analysis, all that stuff. All sorts of different employment opportunities. And I guess the confidence that I've built leads into leadership abilities. Taking action in the work that it is I'm doing. And as I was mentioning, I do go to ask Benham for help, but there is a degree of being able to figure things out that I need to be able to do on my own. And that's largely what this is. And I feel like I've gotten pretty good at that. I can look at the problem and I can say, I think I need to take this step to keep going in the right direction. So I'm going to zoom in here, and then I'll say, okay, I know what I need to do from here, and I know what I need to do from here, and I know what I need to do from here. But every step that I take, I have to have some initiative in being able to do that myself. And then I guess that also leads into skill development. And I feel like I've already touched on that before, but just learning those skills of being able to manage my time effectively, being able to manage myself effectively, and being able to manage the work that I do effectively as well. And then just one more thing to touch up on. I've also, using LaTeX throughout the course of this, I've gotten even better at it than I already was. I keep improving. One of the big areas that I've learned how to do is Tixie. It's a package in LaTeX. It is one of the coolest packages that they have to offer. It allows you to code different diagrams and images exactly how you want to specify them. So you can do the same thing in Microsoft Word, but you drag and drop everything individually, and if something gets moved, it all gets moved. LaTeX doesn't have that issue because you just code the image into the actual document. In terms of conflict resolution, I don't really have any conflicts with my employees, mainly because I don't really have any, except for my supervisor. But I guess you could say conflict in terms of the actual project, not getting mad or angry, or start pounding the table at what it is I'm doing, just being calm throughout the whole thing. And other regions of the world that are working on similar problems. He did tell me about one guy who is trying to use binomial expansion to discuss the rotational modes of the Earth, or to mathematically describe them, and Benham's using the spherical harmonics, mainly because they converge much faster than the binomial expansion. So for instance, these are random numbers, but the spherical harmonics might take a truncation number of 6 or 7, whereas if you use binomial expansion, you have to go up to 50. So computationally, that is also a lot more work for your computer to do. And now for the fun part, I'm going to be talking about the challenges that I faced throughout the length of my project and how I overcame those challenges. So, most of the challenges I faced, I did talk to Benham, but there are a few times I go through my research and it happens inevitably, I make a mistake somewhere. And when that happens, oh boy. I mean, when you are dealing with equations this big and I make a mistake, I'm just like, no, it can't be happening. And it did happen a few times, but I did correct them all. And the coolest part about doing my research is about 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, I compared the equations that I got with the ones that I got over the summer. So the ones that I'm doing right now depend on an elliptical Earth model, and the ones that I did over the summer are for a viscous Earth model. So I could combine the equations together and compare them, and I was amazed. I was so happy that they worked. The equations were comparable to each other, and there was no deviations between the two. It was such a good feeling to be able to look at that, because I'm working in a degree of uncertainty for 3.5 months, even longer, because I have been looking at this project with Ben even earlier. And I get to the final results, and they match. But that is not to mention, as I was saying before, that I did have a few instances where I made a mistake. Is I accidentally wrote the wrong letter. That is really what it boils down to. So I went way back, maybe 50 pages back, and updated every single letter with the new one to match. That is the most memorable
challenge
that I faced throughout the length of this project. There were a couple of others where I'd be writing something down and say, oh, why didn't I write that in there? I forgot a bracket, or I forgot to remove a bracket. Both of those happened, by the way. But those are really minor issues. Yeah, I could fix those within about 5 minutes, not even. But overall, I did work at a good pace, and I actually got the project done to where I wanted to get it done. We have the equations now. We've partially derived them. We've simplified them. They are there. They are ready to be programmed into the computer. So what have I learned from these challenges that I faced? And I guess the cool guy way of saying it is that when I'm facing these issues in my research, I've got to just keep my cool. Really, that's honestly what it boils down to. Is if I make a mistake 50 pages earlier, I can't just freak out, give up, turn off the computer, leave. I go back and fix my mistake, because in all honesty, mistakes aren't that bad. You just have to know where to fix them and what to do. And I did that very well. I am more than happy to admit that I did make mistakes. That is nothing that everyone in the workplace makes mistakes. The longest mistake that I had, it took me maybe half an hour to fix. So I mean, I guess it's still a good chunk of time, but at the end of the day, mistakes don't rule the work that we do. You can spend a lot of time focusing on the mistakes that you've made, but really what you want to be focusing on is where you have progressed. Is that 10 minutes of content?